A very good evening to all the participants. So I would like to welcome you all to this online psychology workshop organized by AIB Sri Lanka. So my name is Zafraswar Ali, Associate Lecturer and Program Coordinator for Psychology at AIB Sri Lanka, and I'm honored to serve as the moderator for today's session. So before we dive into the exciting content that's lined up for us, I would like to introduce a little bit about AIB Sri Lanka. So Academy of International Business and Study Abroad Private Limited, known as AIB for short, was established in 2015 and has been at the forefront in several areas like e-commerce, digital agency, training, recruitment, and so on. Apart from that, AIB is affiliated with the UK awarding bodies such as ABE and Qualify, and therefore is also a center for programs like business management, digital marketing, content writing, early childhood education, and psychology. In addition to that, we also offer IELTS and PT services, which is all under an e-learning platform. So for more information, you can log into www.aibedu.org and get more information about the programs. So now I would like to introduce our distinguished speaker of today's session. So today's speaker for the session will be Inspector of Police, Colombo Fraud Investigation Bureau, Mr. Lalith Rajapaksha, who is an expert in the field of criminology, and he has also been a driving force in the Sri Lanka Police. So we are privileged to have him share his insights with us today. So to the participants, I would like to say, please feel free to actively participate and share your thoughts and ask any questions that you may have. So once again, I welcome you all to this insightful workshop. And without any further delay, I invite Mr. Lalith Rajapaksha to take over and begin the session. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I am Lalith Rajapaksha, Inspector of Police from Colombo Fraud Investigation Bureau. First of all, I would like to make this opportunity to thank Academy of International Business, Sri Lanka, for inviting me to deliver this lecture on the topic Criminological, Psychology and Offender Profiling. I'm very happy to see you today evening. We are soon to discuss this interesting topic. Without any further ado, we will move to our presentation. I have prepared this presentation including some videos and interesting case studies which are more like stories. And I will conduct this lecture in both English and Sinhala as there are some techniques that you may not understand, and to keep the lecture more understandable, I will keep names of some cases and in order to protect Here's the outline of the presentation. Firstly, I am going to discuss the learning outcome, then purpose and background of this topic. Next, we are going to discuss what is the criminological psychology and some key aspects. Finally, what is offender profiling and related areas. In terms of learning outcome of the lecture, firstly, I am going to define criminological psychology. Okay. In terms of learning outcome of the lecture, firstly, I am going to define criminological psychology and offender profiling. Then we'll discuss the relevance and importance of these fields in understanding and preventing crime. In selecting the topics, criminological psychology and offender profiling, we have to focus on criminal justice system, which has a wide variety of people that are some of these people have mental illness or disabilities. Some people that are in the system come from lower socioeconomic status and have childhood trauma that later result in mental illness, and this increases the likelihood of them being involved with the law at young age. Right. In this, some people that are in the system come from. Okay, you may feel interested about this. How many of you have watched this film? This is Hindi film which is known as Mardaani. This film is based on true story of serial killer and rapist Indian who raped and killed many young girls. Let's watch this short first. Mentality of this serial killer as well as the rapist can be traced throughout the storyline by cross examination of the way he has committed the crime. In order to solve the mitigate crime like this, the investigating officer must have a considerable knowledge to identify the recognize the mentality of the killer and their rapist. This can be done by proper analysis of the accused or the suspect, thought proper observation of the crime scene. I invite you all of you watch this movie after this lecture and analyze in your mind what you learned today. Just you can see the photo. Can you all recognize the person?
This was that Peter's College, what happened in Peter's College, right? Sri Lanka?
No.
Is it?
Yes. This Hitumate Jeezy, he has become a serial killer after seeing his sister's murder. Don Sumatipala, who become well known as Hitumate Jeevite, based on the some words marked across his chest was murder, one with who was serving on the death row in Sri Lanka prisons. At the age of 17, he has made criminal by the to event the gang rape and his school-going sister. This is responsible for this crime were none other than the headquarters inspector HQI of Colombo Police, the school principal, a politician, and few others. Served within several death sentences, Sumatipala was in prison for over 4 decades, escaping 7 times, finally receiving presidential pardon. Sorry. His criminal record was special as he was sentenced to death of prosecution based on the crimes. of killing members of group which can rape and murder his younger sisters. Thought the rapists and killers.
Yes, thank you so much. With your permission of the lecturer, so I will be having the session right now. So if I brief you what we all have done few times ago, right? So without wasting your time, I'll try my level best to complete the session soon. Okay, thank you. So today our topic is criminological psychology and offender profiling. So when we talk about this topic, up about the topic, break down the keywords, and also to introduce you and provide you the overview of criminological psychology, and specifically to discuss more about offender profiling. If you have any issues, just drop text to our chat box, so then I can recognize if any issues with my connectivity, because there are some issues with the connectivity. That may be the case. The voice is lagging. Kindly accept our apologies on that. When we talk about this topic and its importance, when we look at the criminal justice system, there are a lot of people imprisoned and sentenced. Actually, not all these people have mental illness or disability, but most of the time, there are some psychological reasons for these people to commit crimes, to violate the law. So in this lecture, we are going to dig more into these psychological reasons. And some of the people that are in the system, who face the legal system and who are in the criminal justice system, so they actually come with low socio-economic status. When you go to a courthouse, when you go to a police station, you may see you can understand the social class basically the people are belonging to. So they are very hard people. They struggle with their lives. In between, they have to face to courts and the police as well. Now, these people sometimes may have faced childhood trauma as a result of the socio-economic problems that they have to face in their daily life. And this childhood trauma little later actually scaled up to result mental illnesses. And this increases the likelihood of them being involved in legal matters, actually violation of the law at their young age. So this is a very bad situation for a country, and when the prisoners are getting increased day by day, that affects to our criminal justice system and also to the overall economy of the country. That also demarcates failures in our criminal justice system as well. Now, you all have watched this movie Mardaani too. Some of you may have watched because this has been released in back 2019, and the trailer also shown to you that actually gives you some insights about how the psychology of a murderer or a rapist could behave or could happen. So if you have not watched this movie, I invite you all to watch this later on. After this lecture, then you will understand how the psyche of a criminal actually takes place, or how the thinking pattern of a criminal. Basically, this is a rapist. He actually continued to kill and rape young girls in India. Basically, this is a true story, and he's a serial killer. Now, serial killer is a person who is used to do a crime in a specific manner, in the same manner, the same equipment, same techniques, and same way the injuries have been caused, the same way. Everything is the same, the way, the procedures or the steps that the person has followed to commit the crime, everything is same. So when several crimes happen over time with the same pattern, we can easily recognize this who is the killer is. So that is such a person is known as a serial killer. So this is actually we have included in the presentation to give you a little understanding about what we are going to discuss today. And this person, you also have seen this person over YouTube channels, and also he's very famous accused, and also he is a actually convicted life sentence to a few murders he has committed. His name is Hithumate Jeevithe. He has actually tattooed his this Hithumate Jeevithe name on his chest. So he is a criminal. He was imprisoned. Actually, when we investigate, there was a film also actually produced based on this story. When we ask why this person has committed crimes, murders, a series of murder cases, the reason was now next you can see the picture of this criminal sister, this young lady who was a beauty queen years back. This lady has been raped and killed by some high-ranking officers, and also with the involvement of some politicians. In order to take up the revenge, this brother, this Hithumate Jeevithe, is he's the person, the brother of this lady, beautiful lady. And to take up the revenge, he actually committed several crimes, those who have actually raped and murdered his sister. Now you can see normally people who used to love and spread kindness in the society, normally when we look at a human being, they are so gentle and they need to love and spread kindness in the society. But how these people become this much of cruel, wicked, and basically to commit crimes in the society? Hithumate Jeevithe, this man is not a criminal before, but one incident provoked him to do a crime. Now, there are some psychological reasons behind prisoners and also criminals, accused, suspects that we see in the criminal justice system. So it's easy for us to blame at them, but there are a lot of social and psychological reasons behind them for them to be like that. So today our topic, we are going to discuss about this background. Okay. Having said that, when we talk about a human being, we should not forget about how a little baby, when becoming a man, throughout the life cycle of a human being, there is a socialization process. So socialization process is actually how inner values of a person is built upon, basically. Inner values, what person thinks, and the way the person speaks, and the education institution, basically family. Under primary socialization, family members and the parents, siblings responsible for the socialization of the children. Now, so the family when family is having good ethical and social background, the child is very safe and protected. When the child is in a background which is really harmful for the mental health of the child, so when the child is growing, that child become very disruptive and difficult to handle, and that person become sometimes harm to the society. Then the secondary socialization is the second way of people getting socialized. First one is primary socialization, and the second one is secondary socialization. When the children grew up, education institutions, religious institutions, it doesn't matter what the religion you belong to, any religion in the world basically teach how to be peaceful and how to love each other. There are no good or bad religion. Every religion teaches you how to become good human beings. So these social institutions, schools, education institutions, then the religious institutions, the society in overall, so teach and put a lot of inputs the person to grow a lot, and that also helps a person to get socialized. Sometimes people say rather than genes, actually not people, I would say some experts in the subject, especially psychologists. So they say rather genes, the socialization process helps these human beings to grow better. Even the person is, you might have seen some children born in to less privileged families, when we have given them to adopt for foreigners, in that countries the children have grown better and they speak English really well and they behave in the society well mannered, well manneredly. So you can see everything has been changed. So this is the socialization process that you can easily recognize. Genes also helpful, but socialization process do something better or something more than what genes do. So here, why we have brought up socialization process in this discussion. That is to say, when even a criminal or even a human being, before person become a criminal, generally the person is a human being. So the socialization process, the person grows, person develops, person little by little understand things, cognitive things happen in the society. Therefore, society is responsible, and these social things, social factors affect the psychology of a person. Next, we have given you some topics that actually go in line with criminal psychology, antisocial behaviors, and personality disorders. So when we investigate a lot of criminals with our experience, there are so many antisocial behaviors that we identify within criminals. Now, they have some personality disorders as well. Now, when we talk about antisocial behavior, in the slide also you can see it is a behavior, kind of a behavior that go against social norms, disregard the rights of others, no empathy on others. They don't want to be lawful. They don't want to protect rights of others. They don't have any empathy on others. They don't actually stand on the shoes of another person, and they don't see any feelings. Now in Buddhist we call atanahi upamankatwa, tamang upama karagena අනිත් අය ගැන හිතන්න කියලා අපි බෞද්ධ ආගමේ කියනවා. So other religions also may think like that, teach you like that. So that empathy is not there. So there are such kind of people are called people who are having antisocial behavior. Now, when we talk about personality disorders, actually when we look at criminals, basically somewhere in the personality there is an issue in that person. So the personality of the person actually has some sort of a fault that actually guided or that actually led the person to become a criminal. So personality disorders, when your personality is like good in sense, so no matter, you can stay well in the society, but disorder means when your personality is not so well. So there are enduring patterns in inner experiences, behavior that deviate the person from the expectations of an individual's culture, causing distress and impairment in function. So the person becomes distressed and he is becoming some impaired person in the society. So the person cannot actually handle day-to-day activities due to this personality issues. There are some people said there are extrovert persons, there are introvert persons, even the introvert person, there are people that do not want to show kindness to any persons. So the things that we have discussed earlier. Now, especially when we talk about these personality disorders, one disorder, there are three personality disorders basically we identify here. Antisocial personality disorder, which is known as ACPD, and the second one is borderline personality disorder, BPD, and narcissistic personality disorder, that is NPD. Right, your lecturer might have taught you about these things really well, and she will be the most expert person to discuss about this stuff. Anyway, so when we talk about from criminological perspective, when you look at the criminal behavior, this antisocial personality disorder has a significant link or a relationship with criminal behavior. So when we defining antisocial personality disorder, inherently this disorder is defined as it's like strongly it's a disorder strongly associated with antisocial behavior. That means if you look at a person who is having ASPD, the person is having a pattern of ignorance of rights of others and patterns of violation of rights of others. And also, this person is having some dishonesty, impulsivity, irritability, and lack of regret. No empathy at all. Don't think about others, just only think about himself or herself. So, this ASPD has a direct impact on criminal behavior. But comparatively, later we are going to discuss about other two as well. Borderline personality and narcissistic personality disorders, actually, when we defining these two disorders, we don't see any criminal behavior. We don't say that borderline personality directs to criminal behavior or narcissistic personality directs to criminal behavior. So we don't usually talk about it because those are normal personality disorders that usually could have, but those do not definitely result in criminal behavior. So next, we are going to discuss about two individuals, well-known individuals who had this antisocial personality disorder. Now, O.J. Simpson and Charles Manson. So when we talk about O.J. Simpson, actually he was accused of his murdering his wife and her alleged boyfriend. So he was never proven guilty in the court, but he has showed so many signs of ACPD, right? So lack of evidence may have resulted the person to evade from the criminal liability. However, if you look at the personal traits, the person is having more ACPD signs. Charles Manson, he was one of the most notorious serial killer in American history. When you Google, you can read a lot about this person. Ironically, this person was never convicted for killing the 7 people that died that he was suspected. Now, this person also shown ACPD signs. The same thing. No, mostly serial killers, they do have this ACPD because they are like the thirst of killing others. There are rapists. If you look at their behavior, they have thirst of raping people. So there are some serial killers like that. So they never actually fed up from 1 or 2. So they continue their criminal behavior. So mostly serial killers are having this ACPD characteristics. Now, borderline personality. Now, I must tell you, borderline personality, you can't see any direct relationship with the criminal behavior. Not all the people who have borderline personality disorders are criminals, so it's wrong. But you can see these characteristics. Sometimes there are people who's having a disordered self-image. Suddenly mood swings would happen and they can't have stable relationships. So one person in 1 week and these people don't have a lot of friends and there are a lot of breakups and fear of abandonment. The person is worried when people are getting far away from the person. These people are being very, very worried. Impulsive, self-injury, risky behavior. So some people we have seen some criminals, actually their behavior is very risky. Sometimes we can't keep them in house also when we put them into these cells. So it's very hard to say that they try to cut their arms, they try to harm themselves and they feel some emptiness. And they sometimes have suicidal threats as well. So they try to suicide and they're suspicious on others and inappropriate anger. Now, normally when we look at a person, appropriately the person would get angry to a little thing, but very tiny things when a person is getting angry a lot, so that is inappropriate anger. So if you look, when a person is having these characteristics, we call this person is having borderline personality, but not like ACPD. The people who are having this is very normal borderline personality disorder may actually not directing to criminal behavior mostly. Narcissistic personality disorder. Narcissistic mean, as you all are very well known to this, narcissistic person is the person the person is easily offended and arrogant, try to control others and dominate others. Other opinions are not actually considering a lot. So narcissistic personality disorder, the people who are having this NPD, they are also very rarely their behavior is resulting to be criminal. So today our focus is on criminal psychology. So therefore, we have given more focus on ASCD, but we have given you a little understanding about other two personality disorders that we normally see recognized under psychology, but there are a lot, but we have only taken a few. So next, we are going to talk about mental disorders and criminal behavior. Now, one thing you have to keep in mind, not everyone with a mental disorder engages in criminal behavior. And not all criminals have a mental disorder. This is a cardinal principle that you have to keep in mind. So when you look at a criminal, you can't say the person is having mental disorder. But all criminals don't have that mental disorders, but easily we have to recognize by looking at the person, the medical evidence is material. So whether the person is having any sort of criminal mental disorder. Now, when we talk about mental disorders, they have definitely a huge impact on the behavior, and sometimes it may increase their likelihood of criminal actions. For example, as you see in the presentation, antisocial personality disorder and certain forms of cirrhosis and severe substance of abuse. We have seen a lot of children and also criminals in their childhood, they have subjected lot of abuse. So this abuse has actually led the person to become a criminal at the end of the day. So these severe substance of abuse issues might contribute to criminal behavior. So psychologically, the person would think that to take up a revenge from the same age people or same generation people or same looking people. So there are a lot of such sensitive issues when we speak with criminals. We identify there are a lot of sensitive issues why the person has become a criminal. So Hitumate Jivite is another example. And if you look at Mardaani film, that also an example. You can see how these abuse issues have become reasons people to become a criminal. However, it's important to note that most individuals with mental health conditions are not violent. Now, just imagine a person having a BPD or NPD. The person is not actually criminal. If you look at a person who is having a mental disorder, don't say the person is a criminal, right? The person is actually, it's a disease, like a normal other disease. The person can easily can get cured. When we talk about mental health, it can be considered during the trials. Now, when there is a case filed against a person who is actually having a mental disease, a mental issue, the person, there is a special mechanism in courts. So usually the medical evidence is required when we cross-examine such a person, right? Cross-examination. Factors like diminished capacity and competency to stand trial or the insanity defects. Insanity means the person a person doesn't have any sound mind to understand the repercussion of an act. So then the person is called insane person, insanity, right? Okay. Now the most important part of the lecture. So little by little, now we are coming to speak about criminal psychology. Criminological psychology, sometimes it may also known as forensic psychology as well. Now, when we look at criminal law, right. Now, normally we identify a crime is an offense against the society or the state. It is actually a serious offense than a civil wrong, right? Murder, theft, rape, robbery, fraud. Those crimes are actually serious offenses than a land dispute or a family dispute. So all the crimes that are indicated in the document called the penal code, in Sinhala we call Dandaniti Sangrahaya. These are crimes. All the offences in the penal code, those are offences against the body and offences against the property also. So those are known as what? Those are known as crimes, right? So when we talk about a crime, it's not against an individual, even though just take murder as an example. So it is true that one person will die definitely, right? It is causing a death of a person. The person disease is the right person who got impacted from this murder. But the impact of a murder case is to the society at large, right? Why I'm saying that? Now, can you remember Kotaketana incidents, Ratnapura district? There were a lot of brutal killings that have happened in the same manner. Now, when such brutal killings in line happened in a village, what happened to villagers? They fear to go out. They are actually threatened, and that affects their normal routine. And also, they are actually fear of their normal life. So that the killings has happened to 2-3 individuals, but the impact or the influence of that murder affects to the whole village. So that is a minor example for you to identify and understand gravity and the impact of a crime to the society at large. So therefore, penalty for a crime, punishment for a crime is serious than a civil wrong. Normally, the person has to pay a fine to the government, and also the person can be imprisoned. බන්ධනාගාරගත කරන්න පුළුවන්. එහෙම නැත්නම් යා රජයට විරුද්ධ විශාල දඩයක් ගෙවනවා. පැහැදිලිද? වැඩිපුර දඩුවම්. සිවිල් වරදකට වඩා මේ නීතිමය කරුණු සාකච්ඡා කරන නිසා මම සිංහල වචන පාවිච්චි කරනවා. බහුතරයකගේ අවබෝධය පිණිස. එතකොට මේ අපි කතා කරන මේ අපරාධයක් සිද්ධ වුණාම මේ අපරාධයක බලපෑම සමස්ත සමාජයටම සිද්ධ වෙනවා. ඒ තරම් බරපතලයි. ඒ බරපතලභාවය නිසාම අපරාධ මර්ධනය කරන්න අපරාධයකට තියෙන දඬුවමත් බරපතල කරනවා. එක්ක සිරගත කිරීමකින් එහෙම නැත්නම් රජයට විශාල දඩයක් ගෙවන්න සිදු වෙලා ඒ අපරාධය පාලනය වෙනවා. පාලනය කරන්න තමයි නීතිය කටයුතු කරලා තියෙන්නේ. So when we talk about crimes, there are two elements need to be proven in a crime. One is actus reus and the other one is mens rea. Actus reus is the malicious act. Mens rea is the malicious intention, right? So you have to prove the physical element of the crime in the court as well as mental element of the crime. Actually, this is done by police, and lawyers would also help to this. Sometimes they object to this, so that depends on their duty and the job. Basically, when we look at a crime, so we need to prove the criminal act as well as criminal mind both. Both elements need to be proven without leaving a single doubt. One doubt is enough person to diminish the liability, to get released from the liability. One doubt is enough in a crime. One doubt to say that this person has not committed the crime, that is more than enough the person to get acquitted. So therefore, since the penalty is very high for a crime, very serious for a crime, it has to be proven beyond any reasonable doubt. Without leaving a single doubt. Burden of proof is very high in a crime, so it has to be proved without leaving a single doubt, right? Now, most of the time, criminals, what they do is they bring defenses, right? Defenses is to reduce the criminal liability, to mitigate the criminal liability. Let's say, okay, actus reus, anyway, it has been happened already. That is why the person has been accused. But only these defenses can be raised by showing any lacking area in the mental element. That to say, I was intoxicated during the time that this crime was happened, and I was insane. I can't, I have done this for my self-defense, and sudden provocation resulted to commit this crime. So likewise, these are called defenses. So the accused or suspect individuals bring defenses in the courts to show, to diminish or to actually to mitigate their criminal liability, right? So these defenses, these defenses are strongly linked with the mental element, right? To say that I didn't have the required mentality for the crime. So they try to figure out any loophole in this, the green colored one, the mental element, right? The courts to mitigate the criminal liability, and it is mostly against the mental element of a crime. In assessing the mental element, for the law also, criminological psychology plays a pivotal role. Criminological psychology. So why? We can't just say this person or this criminal is having any mental issue. We can't just say that. Expert, psychologist, forensic psychologist need to be called to the court, and we have to get evidence. We call in law, these are expert evidence. We call these are expert evidence. So we have to take all expert evidence to recognize whether this accused really having insanity, or if this person is really doesn't have this mental requirement, right? So this is how this link comes, why the criminal psychology is important. Now, when we talk about criminal psychology, it is all about studying the mind of the criminal, studying the mind of the criminal, right? So we have the, when we visited the crime scene, only we can see the dead body. If sometimes dead body is also not available, right? So we have only the message the person has been misplaced, and we can see some blood stains. We can see some items have been thrown here and there. So by looking at the crime scene, and also we have to collect evidence with the help of SOCO, and then we have to create the story. We have to build up. It's something reverse engineering. We reverse engineering the crime. This crime would have happened in this way or this way. Can you remember Seya Sadevni case? So Seya Sadevni has been kidnapped, and the Seya Sadevni, the place has been actually abandoned by the police. Abandoned in the sense, not actually abandoned from the people. People's interest, and very important evidence has been collected. Now, for you as ordinary person, what we are saying to you all is, when you see a crime scene, don't go to the crime scene and don't disturb to the evidence that on the crime scene. So when people go and interrupted and touch everything everywhere, so the criminal evidence, the valuable evidence are getting destroyed. Therefore, it's difficult for us to investigate into the criminal matter. So it's difficult and hard for us to read the mind of the criminal. So always, as a public, you need to support us to leave the evidence without destroying the evidence in the crime scene. So this is criminal mind is there. That criminal mind is resulting in the criminal behavior. So there is a link between the criminal mind and the criminal behavior. So in a crime scene, what we see is only the behavior, some evidence of the behavior. So by looking at this behavior and what the suspect has been left in the crime scene, we have to build, or we have to read the criminal mind of the criminal. So I think now the lecture is interesting for you all. Just give me some comments. How do you feel?
It's going well, ma'am. Interesting.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, because I have seen there were 18 students in the participation list, but now I can see only 16. So yes, interesting. You're doing good. Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, then we straight away come to the topic. So what is criminological psychology? I must tell you, this is also known as forensic psychology. But now the evolving term is criminological psychology. In this study of it is it is a study of the views, thoughts, intentions, actions, and reactions of criminals and suspects. Views, thoughts, intentions, and actions and reactions of criminal suspects. This is actually now there is a subject called criminology, but it is actually the criminal psychology evolved first place. Then the criminology evolved. Firstly, criminal psychology evolved in 18th century. In 19th century, the criminology evolved. So the firstborn child is the criminal psychology. And when we talk about this criminological psychology, now psychology is vast area. Criminological psychology is one subset or one subfield under the huge area of psychology, and especially when we talk about applied psychology. Applied psychology means when these theoretical, this what Sigmund Freud has said and all these stuff, when really applicable on people, we call it is applied. When the subject is applied on people, because these are behavioral, social sciences, behavioral subjects. So when these subjects are really applicable on people, we call it is applied subject, apply this and that. So this is a subset of that. So before I continue the lecture, I just want your permission because now it's almost 7:30. Because we were about to finish off the lecture 7:30 or 8:30. If time permits, I can continue.
8:30, I think.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. Now, yes, thank you. When we talk about this, criminal psychologist or forensic psychologist, welcome to legal courts also, because as I told you before, in order to read the mind of the criminal and to ascertain the real mentality of the criminal, we need expert evidence. Therefore, courts are getting support of the criminal psychologist to ascertain the mentality of the criminal. And these expert witnesses, they actually in the courts perform some psychological assessments on victims as well as criminals. Now these criminal psychologists do not only to read mind of the criminal, they can also investigate victims also. They can actually not investigate in a sense. They actually can provide psychological assessments on victims. Victim is the person who got affected from the crime. And main duty of criminal psychology is understanding the mental disorder criminals are likely to have. Now, when we talk about the history, some historical aspects of criminal psychology, how this criminal psychology reception has been taken to the world. So this has been happening in 18th century. Before, please direct message. All right, okay. Right. When we talk about reception of criminological psychology, criminal psychology started in 18th century. As I told you before, it was actually before the criminology school of thought starts. It was started later, 19th century. So this is the firstborn child. There were 4 key aspects of development of criminal psychology. Philosophically, it has been developed. Medically, it has a lot, very valuable. It is very valuable in order to treat these people, criminals, and also legally. It supports the legal criminal justice system as well. And also important in terms of natural sciences. Biologically also it is very important. Why? Biologically, these people need to get a treatment. So philosophically, medically, legally, and biologically, this school of thought is very important. What the theories that they have developed and really the impact or the service this criminal psychology do in the society is greatly needed to be appreciated. Before criminal psychology, there was a conflict in criminal law between medical experts and court judges, right? So now medical experts go to the court and they say this person is having this disorder. But court of law reluctant to believe what this medical expert is saying because this subject has not been evolved. These theories, these academic matters has not been developed. So in determining how to proceed with the majority of cases which specialized the development of a specialized field for individual investigation and assessments of suspect. So when we talk about a criminal investigation, assessment of the suspect is very important. Why? Now, suspect or an accused of a crime is not the, can you fill the blank? Accused or the suspect of a crime is not the sorry,
Finding hard to guess, madam.
hard to get. Okay, so let me fill it. It is actually it's not, he or she is not the wrongdoer. Who has to decide the person's guiltiness? Society, media, or who?
The court. The court.
Exactly. Thank you. The court. The court has to decide it. The court has to decide it. The law says the person is innocent until proven guilty. The person is innocent until proven guilty. Which means we can't say the medias, moon media or right, Tirasa media or these medias cannot determine it. It has to be determined by the court of law by investigating all the evidence before the court of law. So the expert evidence, medical evidence, really material when we determine the criminality of a person, the mentality of the person. So this criminal psychology actually developed and provided us a solution. This the problem, the long-lasted problem in the field of criminal law. So then now we have specialized psychologists who also has an expertise on criminology. So therefore this gap, long-lasted problem has been fulfilled by developing this school of thought, criminal psychology. Right? Next, I'm going to discuss with you some theoretical lenses, theories pertaining to criminal behavior, psychological theories. So there are some biological theories, there are some psychological theories, and also sociological theories. Right? So when we talk about these psychological theories, firstly, the biological theories, there are some studies which explore the role of genetics in affecting individuals to criminal behavior. There are some studies on genetic mapping which help to understand inherited traits that might influence criminal tendencies. So this is some biological theories, genetics and brain structure, right? So when investigating some brain structures, so this time it was hard to find some pictures. When you Google, you can see some criminals, their brain structure is different from ordinary people. So by looking at that, so we can determine biologically. So in terms of psychologically, physiodynamic and cognitive behavioral, those three theories are important. Physiodynamic, cognitive, and behavioral. So when you talk about physiodynamic theories, so those are focused on the unconscious drives, that unresolved conflicts influencing on criminal behavior. There are people having a lot of unresolved problems. Their problems are continuing. These continuing problems may have resulted to a criminal behavior. And some behavioral theories are also there. Those theories investigate how environmental factors and learned behaviors contribute to criminal action. Now, when a person who purchased, who was convicted for trading heroin, got imprisoned or got remanded, the person go and stay with other criminals who have done house breakings, right? So then this person have listened to all the stories of housebreaking, and then he get out, released from the prison. So this man who used to trade heroin, sell heroin, the person is starting housebreaking also. This is what belong to these behavioral theories. Learned behaviors. Learned behaviors contributing to criminal actions also. When a lot of crimes are shown on the television, sometimes it may be something insisting on others also. Okay, so this type of criminal tendencies happening in Sri Lanka right now. So unwanted people, some people who actually not criminal, but they also try to get some sort of undue advantage from the criminal tendencies in the country. So that is one thing. So the other one is cognitive. So when we talk about cognitive theory, it is examining how thought processes, decision making, and cognitive biases can lead to criminal behavior. Now, there are some people, so when they make a mistake, they don't like to accept it, right? They look at mistake of other people, or they don't want to correct themselves. So it's something actually attached with the decision-making part of a person. So cognitive biases also there, cognition, right? So the other one is sociological theory. Sociological theories, there are two theories, strain theory and social learning theory. So in social learning theory, it explores how individuals learn criminal behavior through observation and reinforcement in their social environment. Individuals learn criminal behavior through observation and reinforcement in their social environment. It is a little much similar to this behavioral theories in psychology, right? Strain theory means it actually discovers how social pressures and lack of opportunities may lead individuals to commit crimes. Now, when a person is actually disadvantaged over a period of time, the person is having some sort of a social pressure due to lack of opportunities. The person need to go to school, but no school is providing the opportunity, right? So there are students who want to study a lot, but the school never permit, always suspending the person, right? So the person's that mentality, always this opportunity, how would I say, the person's want an opportunity to grow, but the society has never offered any opportunity to the person to be positive. So the person is having long-lasting pressure. So that may result in a criminal behavior. So these are basically biological, psychological, and sociological theories that explains the criminal behavior. So when you do research and all, in order to get the theoretical support to your research, so you can go with these theories. Actually these theories in general explain how actually contribution of people's personal traits towards criminal behavior. Now, let's talk about Sri Lanka. Now, the scope of forensic psychology has grown in Sri Lanka also. And there is an increased demand for psychological reports and other psychological services in administration of justice. So we belong to criminal justice system. So in the criminal justice system, to carry out our works more authentic way, so we need the support of psychologists, and their services are very, very important now. This growth is common to both criminal matters and civil proceedings as well. So basically today we are talking about criminal matters, but this is really, really important in civil proceedings as well. For example, when having the custody of a child in a divorce case, to whom the custody of the child should be given, so it's a very sensitive issue. So then the psychological assessments are very important. Psychological assessment of the child is very, very important when two parents are getting divorced. So what has happened to the mentality of the child? What will happen? So that has to be assessed properly. So in the criminal justice system, now the psychologist role is really, really important, and it's actually paves the paths to produce more authentic, trustworthy, reliable decisions, especially human-centric, sensitive decisions. Now, when we talk about forensic psychologists, what the role that we expect from them? Actually, they play a critical role at the intersection of psychology and legal system. So when we talk about law and psychology, as I told you before, the judges want to get proper recommendation from a psychologist on the criminality of the person. Otherwise, we can't give a sentence. Lifetime imprisonment, 10-year imprisonment, then 5 million or 10 million fine on the government. So this punishment is very hard and serious. So how court of law would provide actually sentencing a person without basing very reliable evidence? So the reliable evidence is material. Then forensic psychologists conduct evaluations and assessments of individuals involved in legal cases. So this is not only for criminals. So today we're talking about criminal, but keep in your mind, this is very, very needed, much needed in civil matters as well. They often serve an expert witness in the court. So we call these forensic psychologists to courts to provide evidence. So they are the people who are expert. So now we actually now just imagine a forensic psychologist. A lawyer doesn't know about what the forensic psychologist can do. Even a police officer is difficult to hard to capture what the expertise of the forensic psychologist. That's their area. So with that due respect, so they are invited to the courthouse, and the court will take out the evidence from them to assess and to come and for an evaluation of the person, criminal. And forensic psychologists may consult with attorneys, law enforcement like us, the police, and the other professionals involved in legal cases. Now, insanity in Sri Lanka, in order to mitigate the criminal liability, there are a lot of defenses. Not a lot, there are a few defenses. As I told you before, sudden provocation, self-defense, intoxication, then again, insanity. So insanity is very, very important because it has some sort of a link with the mentality, right? So insanity depends on the law. So when we talk about mental state defenses in law, it refers to legal strategies that involve asserting the defendant's mental condition at the time of the offense as a factor that affected their culpability or responsibility. Now just keep in your mind. Now just say the person, we have to prove 2 factors in a crime. Can you say what are 2 factors?
Physical state and the mental state of the violator.
Yes, very good, excellent. Physical state and the mental state. So physical state is always, let's say, stab. So stabbing is the physical state. Or just say it's a the person has been pushed down a mountain. So that pushing incident is the physical element. So it is already there on the during the autopsy. It can be easily recognized, but the mental element of the criminal, it's hard to find. So then, for that mental element, accused person is bringing the defenses to say, I didn't have the mentality. I didn't have any intention to kill this person. I was under liquor. It was self-defense. It was actually at that time I was out of the mind. I couldn't see the repercussions of this. I was insane. These are my medical reports. Have you ever seen such incidents? Have you heard of, when you're reading newspapers, have you ever seen such stories? So it's very common. Even the person is looking at everything. When the crime is happened, the person is actually providing a lot of evidence to say the person is having mental issue. So we have to actually ascertain this, whether this information is correct. So insanity asserts that the defendant at the time of the crime didn't understand the nature of the action. I didn't thought with this hit the person would die. Or I couldn't differentiate between right and wrong. At that time, I don't know what I was doing. Whether this is right or wrong, I couldn't imagine. So that is insanity due to severe mental illness or defect. Now, what is the result of this insanity defense? Final outcome is criminal liability will be mitigated. Let's say the criminal liability is life sentence for the murder, normally in the penal code, normally for a murder or culpable homicide not amounting to murder. No, let's say about the murder, the life sentence, death penalty is the penalty which is given, but now we don't execute death penalty, so it is lifetime imprisonment. Now this sentence is severe. So if your defense was successful, insanity, for example, insanity defense, because today we are talking about mentality now. So if this insanity defense is successful, then as a result, what happens? If it was successful, what happened? The person's sentence will be reduced. It will be for 10 years or 20 years or 25 years. This is called culpable homicide not amounting to murder. When the mental element is lacking in the murder case, we call culpable homicide not amounting to murder. I'll tell you in Sinhala. Mini maruma සාවද්‍ය චේතනාවක් තියෙනවා නම් අපි කියනවා මිනි මරුම. සාවද්‍ය මනුෂ්‍ය ඝාතනය කියලා කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? Culpable homicide not amounting to murder. කියන්නේ mental element එක නැත්නම් එතන අඩුවක් තියෙනවා නම් mental element. එහෙනම් අපි එතෙන්දි දඩුවමත් අඩු වෙනවා. අවුරුදු 25කට 30කට ජීවිතාන්තය දක්වා තියෙන සිර දඩුවම අඩු වෙනවා අවුරුදු 20කට 10කට ආදී වශයෙන්. So now you see that these things may be small things, but it affects the life of a person. But this has to be proved. Even the defense, you have to prove beyond any reasonable doubt. Insanity, proof can be beyond any reasonable doubt without leaving a single doubt. And for that proof, this forensic psychologist's evidence is material. We can't just go to the court and say that I'm having this, I was getting treatments for this and that. No. So it has to be ascertained by proper medical experts. It's important to note that successfully pleading insanity is rare, very, very hard to claim this defense, and requires meeting specific legal criteria. You can't just say. Now, I have spoken more than an hour now, so I want to I want to take some break, and I just want to give you some break for listening. And now, next we are going to talk about not criminal offender profiling. So just say by looking at, have you all seen when the suspect or the accused is hard to catch, we take evidence from eyewitnesses, the people who have actually seen something. And have you seen some drawings by looking based on the explanations given by the people on the crime scene. In the crime scene, there are some drawings the police department has been drawn, and they have given these drawings to media, public media, in order to trace the criminal. So it also belongs to criminal this offender profiling. It also belongs to offender profile. We try to make the profile of the offender by looking at the behavior and some evidences the person has left in the crime scene. This is called what? Offender profiling in clinic. So this is actually a 15-minute video. I don't know if you feel this boring, but this is a must. You have to watch this. And it's a former FBI agent explaining about this criminal psychology. It's very, very important in terms of theory and practice. In terms of jurisdictions and countries, there is a huge difference. They are very efficient and punctual. I don't say that we don't, but we have lack of resources to a certain extent. However, I'll show you this video. So I kindly invite you to listen, even though it was hard for you to this time. Are you there?
Yeah, ma'am. Just understood what is profiling. Profiling is like picturing the real person who is involved in the crime, so that they could be identified. So simply, I got that point.
Yes. Thank you so much. What's your good name?
I'm Akhil, ma'am.
Akhil. Okay. Thank you so much for responding, Akhil. And yes, a few of you have commented. Kalpana, interesting video. Richard, very concise and had great examples, of course. So actually, I have decided to. We have decided to include this video in the presentation. First of all, we just want to give you the idea, just without reading to or giving you like going through the hard concepts. Better to show you a video and let you to watch it, and then you with examples you realize what this offender profiling is. And there were a lot of examples given, real life examples, and some case studies very well explained in this video. Actually, it's very easy for you to understand the overall theory. Yes, log. I'm sorry, I couldn't. If I mistake, just if I wrongly
Yes,
tell
ma'am.
your
Yeah.
word.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I am Loga from Kilnochi. Actually, after watching these videos and all, previously also I had some interest in this for criminal psychology, and I was looking to do some masters or something like that in this field. But actually, I have no idea where and how we can pursue a higher education in regard to this psychological education. So can you please guide me where we can get the appropriate institute to continue or to proceed with the masters in regard to this criminal psychology and all?
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I'm so humble and happy from your comment. So I'm so happy. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
And
ma'am. Thank you. Yeah.
yes, I hope
Thank
this
you.
institute AIB would definitely support you. Keep in touch with them. So they will actually recommend you proper programs, and they may have a lot of programs on this.
Yes, ma'am. That will be a great asset for me to fulfill my career. So it's my pleasure to gain your help in the future. Yeah.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you.
Best of luck with you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Right. With all these good comments, happily next I'm going to talk with you about this offender profiling. So, yes, this FBI thing. So this video actually shares you a lot of real life examples, and now what I want to tell you is don't underestimate any study area. whether it is psychology or whether it is sociology, these subjects are evolving. These subjects have a future. What you have to do is you have to integrate these subjects with a growing area, what world demands, what society demands. So you have to integrate these subjects with demanding areas. So then you will never unemployed, or you don't need to struggle with your jobs, with your masters and with your these diploma programs and certificate programs. So you can improve your knowledge. Then you have a basic bachelor's degree in psychology, and when you do expertise in criminal psychology, forensic psychology, there is a good demand. Not only in Sri Lanka but in the world also. So now I'll tell you, this is my personal experience. I'm sorry for like sharing my personal thoughts. One of my best friends, she did a psychology bachelor's degree from University of Peradeniya, and now she is in Italy. She did her master's in Turkey, and then she flew UK, and from the Edinburgh University, she also read another master, and that was on psychology. Now she's doing really, really good, and she's providing services to many sectors. So there are a lot of opportunities. So what you have to do is you have to okay, Kalpana. So my profile is from okay. So
Excuse me, ma'am.
Kalpana.
Excuse me. Miss,
Yes.
is there any opportunity for that means students who have done social science degree and to pursue masters in psychology in Sri Lanka? That means I did social sciences for my bachelor's, but I don't know whether I am eligible for the masters in psychology in
Yes.
Sri Lankan universities. Yeah.
Yes, Kalpana, I can give you the guideline, but I can't. I think it's not ethical for me to promote any institute here. But there
Yeah.
are opportunities, so check with this institute, and also you check Google. The area that you are interested in, definitely you will find. But I don't think in this lecture I can't actually. Only thing what I can do is I can guide you on the specific area. Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
Yes.
when we talk about this criminal offender profiling, yes. So with the understanding you have about offender profiling right now, when we look at the theory, this is an investigative tool. This is an investigative tool which is used to identify, arrest, and convict unknown people who have committed criminal offenses. When the person is known, we don't need offender profiling. When the person is unknown, when the suspect or the accused is unknown, then offender profiling is very, very important. In Sri Lanka also, we do have some databases. Those are not that much developed as in other countries, but with the limited resources that we have in Sri Lanka, so we do have some databases, so we can easily trace offenders by looking at the similar characteristics. It is actually another form of criminal investigation linking offenders' actions at the crime scene to possible characteristics. So this explanation is very important and very interesting. Building a profile of the offender of a crime can include victim, witness statements, and crime scene evidence. So that is what I told you about the diagrams. When the person is unknown, based on the information and the statements shared by the these eyewitnesses, the offender's picture or the photo is drawn and it is distributed and displayed in public areas and getting help of the people to identify the person. So there are so many crimes. In Sri Lanka also we have identified criminals using this offender profiling and this technique. And this is a expertise that lies between the profession of criminology, forensic science, and behavioral sciences. It is important that criminal profiling is used as a tool in investigative cases. Now, now there are some criminals that so if you need, I think our head is now actually he is. So that's what I had to take up the lecture because he was not feeling so well. But if the time permits, he has a lot of experiences that he may share with you. Anyway, it's for him to. It's apologies from us because he is not so well to speak loudly. He's under flu. We are sorry for that. However, back to the presentation. When we talk about these offender profiling, so that we have come across some offenders when we talk about house break-ins and all. This offender is usually break into houses through the window, and the weapon or the equipment the person is used to break the house may not similar to all the criminals. Different criminals use different equipments to open the window. Some criminals are there when there is a we call this how do you call it? Yes. So I'll tell you in Sinhala අපි දැන් කියමුකෝ මම හිතනවා ඔයගොල්ලන්ට සිංහල ටිකක් තේරෙන්නේ ඇති කියලා. අපි හිතමුකෝ සමහර රටිනවා මේ තාප්පයක් ළඟ ලයිට් කණුවක් තිබුණොත් ඒ ලයිට් කණුවෙන් තමයි යා ගෙට එන්ටර් වෙන්නේ. ඒකට යා ගොඩක් හවුස් බ්‍රේකින්ග්ස් වලට ගිහිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම ගෙදර ළඟ ලයිට් කණුවක් කියන්නේ ගෙවල් ළඟ ලයිට් කණු තියෙන ගෙවල් තියෙනවානේ. අන්න එහෙම ගෙවල් බලලා තමයි යා හැමෝම හවුස් බ්‍රේකින්ග් වලට යන්නේ. ඒකට අපි ගාවට එවිඩන්ස් එක අපිට ට්‍රේස් කරගන්න පුළුවන්. මේ ගෙදර ලයිට් කණුවක් තියෙනවා නම් ඒ ලයිට් කණුව ඒ කියන්නේ ඒ ලොකේෂන් එකත් එක්ක අපිට ඩිසයිඩ් කරන්න පුළුවන් මේ ක්‍රයිම් එක වෙලා තියෙන්නේ කොහොමද කියලා. කවුද මේ ක්‍රයිම් එක කරලා තියෙන්නේ කියලා. ඒ වගේ ඒරියා එකේ ඒ අදාළ ඒරියා එකේ ඒ කවුරු හරි ඉන්න ඔෆිස් කෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා නම් එයාට මේ පුළුවන්කමක් තියෙනවා මේ හඳුනා ගන්න කවුද මේ ඔෆෙන්ස් එක කරලා තියෙන්නේ කියලා. ඊට අමතරව තව house breakings වලදී windows bathroom windows තියෙනවා. ඒවා නියනක් ආදාරයෙන් කඩලා ගෙවල් වලට ඇතුළු වෙලා සොරකමේ නිරත වෙනවා. ඒ දැනි අපරාධකරුවන් හැම අවස්ථාවකදීම එකම ක්‍රමවේදයකම එයා භාවිත කරන්නේ. එයා හුරු වෙලා ඉන්න, එයා කියන්නේ එයා අවබෝධ කියන්නේ මේ පළපුරුදු එකම ක්‍රමවේදයක් තියෙනවා. ඒ ක්‍රමවේදයම තමයි එයා යූස් කරන්නේ. සමහර ගොඩක් කරුණු මම ෂෙයා කරන්නේ නැහැ. මොකද ඒක අපිට අපරාධකරුවන් හඳුනා ගැනීමේදී ඒ වගේ දේවල් වලදී සමහර වලදී බාධා වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ නිසා අධ්‍යයන කර්මාර්ථ වෙනුවෙන් මම කෙටියෙන් ඒ සඳහන් කරේ සිවිල් මේ ඔය සොරකම් මංකොල්ලකම් වගේ අවස්ථාවන් වලදී භාවිතා කරන සමහර ක්‍රමවේදයන් ගැන. So you can see now these by looking at these techniques used to do the crime by different offenders, so we can make a profile who has done this offense. So understanding more about the offender and their motivations can help to identify possible criminal behavior patterns that would help an investigation and the fear of the criminal in question. Now, another example that come into my mind is there are some criminals when they break into houses, so they do a rape. But there are some criminals, they don't do the rape. So when we come across an incident that criminals who rob the house plus do a rape, we know who has done the criminal. So we have a list of criminals who have done so. So by the actions that they have done, so we can come to conclusion. So sometimes there are people they actually do the murders, but they don't steal anything. Other way around. So that what behaviors are quite different. You can't actually imagine how these people behave. So and there are some thieves they actually steal only equipment. So the mobile phones, laptops, televisions, electric items. So they steal only electric items. There are some thieves that they steal only gold jewelry, gold items. So they don't steal any furniture, any electric items. They don't steal anything like that. They steal only the gold jewelry. There are some thieves, they only steal money. So there are some patterns, behavior. The criminals, they do have behaviors. So when we following these criminals, we come across a pattern. Some criminals, they have the same pattern, the regular pattern. So when, let's say, X area, in the police officer of the X area has a close understanding about who has done the crime. When he got to know about house robbery has been taken place and it has done in this way, the person knows who has done the offense. But this is actually an accused or suspect. So we know, but we have to prove with evidence. We can't just say this person has done this without evidence, but that pattern is there. The pattern of doing a crime is there. Okay. Then offender profile could also contain potential interview strategies for obtaining as much information about related crimes as possible from guilty of the offender. Okay. The offender profile was made using crime scene and autopsy evidence. Sometimes by looking at the autopsy also, we can come to conclusion how the murder has been done, how the rape has been done, how the sexual assault has been done. So by looking at the autopsy evidence, in some murder cases, they use a wire kind of a thing to kill a person, right? Some use only the knife. So there are some sensitive and very unique characteristics of criminals. For example, now a lonely life is expected due to the predicted time of the murders, either late at night or early hours of the morning, suggesting that no family or work colleagues would be present to become suspicious of any strange behavior. So there are some thieves, so they either go for late night to rob something, or they go early morning. So there are some times of they are used to. Now, have you seen this person? This is George Mitskai. He is more successful. This is the most successful historical case of the offender profiling. This man is known as Mad Bomber. Mad Bomber. So you can Google. This person who detonated 30 plus bombs in New York City public areas in 1940s and 50s. The famous psychiatrist James Russell successfully identified that offender profile for the bomber, including what kind of clothes he would wear. Just imagine, a psychiatrist can determine in this bomber's dress as well. What he wears also can be determined. So that much, this offender profiling is more technical, and this can be expanded. Now, there are 5 behavioral characteristics that can be gathered from the crime scene. Amount of premeditation, degree of control used by the offender, escalation of emotion at the scene, risk level of both offender and the victim. Risk level in the sense, I told you the time of the crime, early morning or late night. Appearance of the crime scene, whether the crime is an organized one or a disorganized. There are thieves, they always do the organized crimes. There are criminals, they never do organized ones. They do only disorganized ones. So there are such stories. Components of offender profiling. So when we talk about offender profile, I'll send you the presentation. So you can, I don't need to read the whole thing again and again, but there are 4 components. Crime scene analysis is the first one. So behavioral analysis is the second one. Victimology is the third one. And crime classification is the fourth one. Right? In the crime scene analysis, actually, that happens analyzing the crime scene. Right, what the nature of the crime, evidence left behind, then the way crime has been committed, those things take into considerations when profiling the offender. Behavioral analysis includes basically the psychological principles. This criminal psychology comes in that place. Interpret patterns of the crime. Then we try to understand the personal traits, the form examples that I have brought into the discussion. So that belongs to this behavioral analysis, potential mental health issues, the decision-making process of the thief. So we know if this person has broken the house, then where the person is hiding. That also can be recognized. Victimology is victims' characteristics. So there are some people, criminals, they don't attack everybody. They are selecting victims, lonely people, then widows. This is by looking at the nature of the victim, offender can be traced, right? Victim's characteristic, relationship with the offender, and lifestyle can provide some insights into offenders' motives and possible connections. And crime classification. These profilers may categorize crimes based on established typologies, organized versus disorganized, to narrow down the characteristic of the offender. So, as I told you, whether the crime is organized crime or a disorganized crime. If it is an organized crime, the characteristics are different. So we have not brought that into the presentation today. But when you Google, you can find notes on that. If it is an organized crime, in US also they have identified the characteristics of the criminal. In UK also they have identified list of characteristics of a criminal who commit organized crimes. Disorganized crimes also different. Okay, so when we talk about profiling, there are two methods used for profiling. One is inductive profiling, the other one is the deductive profiling. Inductive profiling is bottom-up. We also call this bottom-up approach, and deductive profiling we call top-down approach. In bottom-up approach, this method involves deriving conclusions from specific crime scene details and behavioral patterns. Right? So firstly, look at the crime scene and then coming to the conclusion of the behavioral patterns and then analyzing the unique aspects in the crime scene. Deductive means it's top-down approach. That means it's actually based on the theory first, typologies and the already built models. As I told you, that theory, this model, right? Based on the model, we come to the offender behavior and classify and predict the characteristic of the unknown offender. So this is called the deductive approach. If you all have done the research, we do have inductive research and deductive research. So inductive means from bottom to top. So we are coming to the final conclusion based on what we have on our hand. Deductive profiling means the theory or the model or the well-established idea concept is there. Based on the concept, we break down the profile of the offender. So when we talk about this top-down approach, these are the four steps: collection and reviewing of crime scene evidence. Second one is crime scene classification. We need to come to a conclusion whether it is an organized one or disorganized one. Then hypothesize what happened and reconstruct the crime scene. This is called reverse engineering the crime. This is called what? Reverse engineering the crime. Then the findings can be used to generate the offender profile, categorizing as an organized or disorganized offender. Now, 5 main aspects of offender profiling looked at the investigative psychology. Right? Personal characteristics, criminal history, location, social characteristics, career and educational history. Those are also considered when we are doing offender profiling under investigative psychology. Right? So this investigative psychology is also very much closer to criminological psychology. Now, what are the limitations and the controversies in offender profiling last? Not always accurate. Sometimes there may be slight deviations from what we expected. It's more than profiling is more of an investigative tool than foolproof science. Its accuracy can be vary and incorrect profiles may mislead investigations. If the profile is because this, remember again and again I'm telling you, offender profiling is needed when the offender is unknown. Right? So when we are going behind unknown person, if profiling is wrong, then our target also is wrong. So that normally happens in to have delays in a lot of investigations because profiling is wrong, right? Stereotyping concerns. Stereotyping concerns mean there may be a risk of biases and typing based on limited information, which can lead to wrongful assumptions about the offender, right? Ethical considerations are also there. Profiling involves making assumptions about individuals based on behaviors, which can raise ethical concerns about privacy and fairness. That's what I told you. How we come to a conclusion based on the behavior of another. We need to have evidence to support that. We can't just say if a person is, it's actually subjective. When now X is always broke into house through the window, then house A also broke in the same manner. How do we say that X has done that? What is it can be done by another person also. So we have to have the causation, cause and effect. So we need to prove the relationship. So without evidence, we can't do that. Finally, before winding up the session, I just told you when we talk about this criminal psychology and all, now the world and also in Sri Lanka, so when a person is imprisoned, for prisoners, imprisoned means prisoners are the people who convicted for a crime. Then only we can say the person is a criminal. Otherwise, accused or a suspect, we can't say a criminal. When the court of law determines the judgment, the person is imprisoned, and for them, if they have any psychological reasons to be malicious, so the meditation has been used as a technique for them to have to develop mindfulness and to crime prevention, not only to detect and investigate crimes. Criminal psychology and this profiling, offender profiling, is really important when we preventing crimes in the reconciliation and rehabilitation process is also needed. This technique, this psychology, this importance of criminology is overwhelming, and it cannot be it cannot be downgraded. So it's a really need, because have you all heard? I'll tell you in Sinhala. අහලා තියෙනවද කියනවා එක වැරදිකරුවෙක් නිදහස් වෙනවට වඩා එක නිවැරදිකරුවෙක් සිරගත වෙන එක භයානකයි කියලා. So it has to be, there may be so many offenders in the society. They can be cleared at any time, but if a right person has been jailed, that impact is severe, because world need more right people. The world need more people that to spread kind-hearted, good-hearted, and this harmony and kindness, affection, love among the people. So one good person will carry that message overall to everybody in the society. But if 1,000 bad people, its impact is severe. So the meditation is also need to develop mindfulness among people, importantly prisoners. So that has been practiced by many countries, including Sri Lanka. So thank you so much for waiting with us. And we are really sorry for the inconvenience caused to you in the beginning, because our sir has some issues with his recent difficulty of talking. So we are really sorry for that. And actually, I have not prepared so well to do the lecture, but anyway, I have managed it. So thank you so much, and we are really sorry for the inconvenience again.
Okay, so thank you to everyone who joined this workshop, and I'm grateful to be a part of this. And thank you very much to both Mr. Lalith Rajapaksha and also Mrs. Shanika Rajapaksha for taking over and giving your insights about criminological psychology and also offender profiling. Definitely your insights have been very useful and very insightful, and I hope it's the same for all the participants as well. And also I thank AIB Sri Lanka for this opportunity and making this workshop possible. And to all the participants, also thank you for your active engagement and your thoughtful questions as well. So I'm sure that would have made it more interactive. So as we conclude the session, I hope again, once again, that it was useful in every way. And I look forward to another workshop with once again with all of you. And yes, the session would be uploaded on our YouTube channel. So hopefully you all can access through that. And yes, we'll try to share the presentation slides as well. Thank you for joining, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Good night.